Hello everyone. It is Jackie from Pocket of Preschool. I'm so glad you guys could join me tonight. Tonight we are talking all about circle time. Real quick, I'll tell you a little bit about me. So my name's Jackie Cobbs. I am the owner and person behind Pocket of Preschool. I teach a half-day classroom this year, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, with a multi-age group of kiddos. So it's 3, 4, and 5-year-olds. I have a mix. And then for 11 years before this, I taught full day in a public school, and it was a pre-K class. It was full day, open from 7 to 6. It was a multi-age too, so it was a mix of 3, 4, and 5-year-olds. So that's a little bit about me. I'm gonna go ahead and jump right in. So tonight we're talking, all about circle time. I don't know about you, but I'm in a lot of preschool Facebook groups, and I see all the time, like daily, like, oh, circle time is horrible, my circle time is rough. Kids are doing this, they're not listening, they're not engaged. What are you doing? How do you make it work? So I thought tonight would be the perfect opportunity for us to talk all about circle time. So first of all, I'm gonna take, this never goes well, so bear with me, but I'm gonna take my camera off my stand and I'm gonna show you my physical space. So this is my circle area. And ignore my, my stand. So you can see I have a rug, and what I did for the tape is it's just on the edge it's just thick duck rainbow tape. Now this doesn't come off, so once you put it on your rugs, like it's on there, or you're gonna have sticky residue so when you can replace it. And then I use this thin duck to make a grid. Now for different games, like during music and movement time, sometimes we stand on the rainbow, or if we need to like walk around in a circle, that rainbow line helps us. It's just a visual support for them. And then the squares are for all my little friends at circle time. So they literally have a physical visual boundary of where their space ends and their friends begins. And that helps a lot for some of my little friends. And then I have my ABC calendar, my linear calendar, red and green choices, my easel, and then I have my schedule. Perfect. All right, so check your physical space first. Is your physical space working for you? Is your rug working for you? Are kids, is this a year that you need to assign spots on the circle? And when some years I do that and some years I don't. When I had full day, I had 18 kiddos. Some years I absolutely had to assign spots for different reasons. And then some years they could sit wherever they want. They could handle it. Or some years we started sitting in spots and we worked towards being able to pick our own spots, or maybe one friend had a certain spot they had to sit in for different reasons. So look at your physical space first. See how that's working. And I know that some people do sit spots, and I just did the grid. I saw it on Pinterest about 3, 4 years ago. And a lot of people in my whole early childhood program did it, and they all fell in love with it too. I don't know whose idea it was, otherwise I would love to give them credit, but it wasn't my idea. Found it on Pinterest. Lachey's dropping some links in there for you too, so I'll be talking about those in a little bit. So the next thing is, so now that you know that your physical space is okay, check your schedule. I'm gonna just shoot it over here for a minute. And now just so you know, everything on Facebook is backwards. So that's my schedule. So we do table time. I'm gonna go over here. So we do table time and then music, snack, circle, centers, small group, outside, circle, journals, and we go home. And I'm half day, so it's broken up a little bit. So I have a mix of active times, and then I have a mix of times where they are sit down times. So before circle, what are you doing before circle? Are you doing small group before circle where they have to attend to you and sit down, and then they have to go sit again at circle? Because that's not gonna work. Like, they need to move and they need to have their own choice. I'm sorry, I'm crooked. It's driving me bonkers. So look at your schedule. You wanna have, you wanna mix it up. So every other thing is, like, if you have an active thing and then have the next thing be sit down, and then have an active thing and then sit down, and then active and sit down, all the way through your day as much as you possibly can. I know sometimes we're given a playground schedule and we kind of have to go around that. But just make it the best you can for the space or the center or classroom you're in. And then you also want to do a mix of teacher and student led. Like like if you do small group before circle, they have to listen to you, follow your directions, regulate themselves, control their behavior, and be on task, and then come to circle and do all of those things again. For a lot of 3-year-olds, and I know I have some 2-year-old teachers in here too, that's just not possible. Like they're 3, they're little, we need to give them time to have their own choices, and they need to move. So on my blog, I know Lachey dropped a link of my daily schedule. You can actually go look. I actually updated it because I had to change my schedule around a little bit this year, so I just put the new one up right before I came on. We had to move snack up. My kids were starving this year. I had snack at like 10:30 and I had to move it up to 9 because none of my kiddos this year are breakfast eaters. So I had to move my snack up because we were having behaviors because they were hangry at 9:30, 10 o'clock. So I'll kind of tell you, and I know it's backwards, sorry guys, here. So I give parents this one, and this is in that blog post. It's our preschool day, and it has the activity, and then it has a description of what we're doing and what we're learning, so parents know that during snack we're still learning, during circle we're still learning. So that, and it's not editable. I am gonna hopefully get an editable one into the Facebook group, and so if you join the Facebook group, that should be up within the next week or so. So I'll show you my schedule so I can show you how I have kind of active and then sit down activities. So we do morning and arrival, and they do table time. So that's a sit down, and it's more of a quiet activity. It's kind of loud because they're having conversations and they're learning and they're engaged. And then we have music, so that's get up and that's loud. And then we have snack, so that's still another, it's a sit down, but it's a student led. And then circle, so that is a sit down and quiet. And then we have centers, which is student choice and louder. And then we do small group. So back again to sit down and teacher led. And then they go outside. And then I put another circle in, and that, which is the sit down again. And this. So you can see I kind of break up my circles too, which was another thing. I actually made notes tonight, you guys. Like I'm all prepared. How exciting, right? So I break up my circles. So I do 3 different circles. So my first circle of the day, we do calendar, and then we go over our visual schedule, and then we do music. And we do Go Noodle, and we do yoga, or we do CDs, or Dr. Jean songs. So we do all those music and movement songs. For the second circle, which is right before center time, that's when I do my message of the day, which I'll model for you guys in just a second. And then we read a book. And that's all we do for that circle. And then the last circle I use for social skills activities. We read books to develop our social skills and our character, or it's for science later in the year when we get into more of our science investigations and we have some of the social things down a little bit better. I start switching that third circle to center science talks too, or we read a science book and we make a chart, things like that. So that's another way I can like sneak in some extra science, because it's so hard to fit everything in, right? Like I'm not fitting science in right now at all at the beginning of the year. It's just not happening, which is okay. We'll get to it. We have the whole school year. So I have 3 different circles, and I don't do weather. We talk about weather before we go outside. Like, do we need a coat today? What season it is? That way I'm not spending my circle time, and this is just my opinion, like I'm not spending my circle time talking about weather every day for a whole year or a whole 2 years. That can get really boring, and I'm gonna lose them. Like they might be attentive for a couple weeks, and I could make it super engaging, but once they get the concepts of weather down, I wanna move on to something else because I wanna teach them other things. And if you do weather, that's great. I just choose not to do weather. We just do it as it naturally comes up in our day before we go outside, and then we're on the playground, we talk about it. And when we do like different seasons, when we do fall and spring and winter, we talk about weather then. That's how I fit in my weather that way. All right, so you also wanna have a routine to your circles. That way the kids know what to expect and they know what is expected out of them. So like for the first circle, my kiddos know we're gonna do calendar, we're gonna do the schedule, and then we're gonna do music, and that's it. Like they know like once we do the songs, like there's nothing else after that, and so that hopefully they can hold it together and they can regulate that behavior because they know it's almost done. And then for the second circle, they know we always do message of the day and book, and then it's done. We may do a chart or something like that, like a little 3-5 minute thing after we read the book, but after that, they know it's done. So that way they know when things are over, what's coming next, so that way they can choose their behaviors a little bit better too, right? They know, oh, this book's almost to the end, or we just closed the book, oh, I can hold it together for just a couple more minutes because it's almost done. So that way they know what's coming, they know what to expect. And then for my last circle, it's always like a toss-up on that one, but that one's always just a super fun circle, and they expect now that it's different things. Sometimes we read a book, sometimes we do an activity, and things like that. So they know that last circle, it can be anything, but they expect that, and that's okay. But you want the other circles to be more regulated. So if you read a book, read a book. If you do something different every day, do it different every day. Let me model my message of the day because I know I get a lot of questions about that. So every day we do message of the day at our second circle, so right before we read the book. And my message of the day is based on something we do that day. So like today, our message was, today we're making planets. So what I do first is I draw a picture, and you guys, my art skills are just not very good. So I'll draw a picture because I want them to know that pictures and illustrations are just as important as the words. Because when they get to kindergarten, they use those illustrations to decode the text. So I want them to know that pictures are important. So I put up a picture and they guess what the message is, and then I say the message, today we are making planets. And then they say it, today we are making planets. And then I make a line for each word, today we are making planets. And I know a lot of kindergarten teachers do this, and those lines are just like space holders. So that way we can count how many words we have in a sentence. Well, we can talk about long words and short words and different things like that, and we can talk about punctuation. And then I check it, today we are making planets, and then I fill it in. Today we are making planets. And like today, I have a friend who is loving the letter P, so I was like, planets. What do you think planets start with? And they're like, P. And we talked about the first sound and things like that. So they said P, and I wrote up the plea. Sorry, I couldn't think and spell and talk all at the same time. So it's a really good opportunity to get in a lot of writing skills, get them interactive, get them making those sounds. Like one day we were talking about the H sound, and I'm like, and they could feel the H sound on their hand. So get them interactive, make the message interactive. I don't, sometimes I share my marker, but when I say share my marker, that means having a kid come up and write maybe the P, or maybe they'll be like, oh, well, like, let's find all the G's, or maybe there's, a lot of one letter, and they can come up and oh, look, here's an E, and here's an E, like, today we have 2 E's, so you can do different things. You can have the kids do that. So that's called like sharing the marker. So that's part of like shared writing. And then you're also modeling writing for them. Because a lot of kids at home, the parents don't write, right? Like they write on their phones. Like I know my to-do list is in my phone. So they're not getting as much writing modeled as they used to when everything was paper pencil. Now we have so much tech to help us with all those things. Or we have like we record our to-do list on our phone. So this message of the day really gives them one opportunity every day for me to model writing to them, and just to learn all those concepts of print and things. And I don't have a plan usually for my message of the day. They notice something in the message, and that's what I focus on. Like one day, like if there's a really long word, we may count the syllables in that word. So it's basically based on their interest and what they're talking about. and what they notice in the message, that's what I do. Sometimes I'll be silly and I'll start like backwards, and we can talk about like left to right, top to bottom, or maybe I'll make, today we are making, and then I'll put planets at the top, and they'll be like, no, like you put it at the bottom, you know, things like that. So you can be silly with the message and make it more engaging too. So that is my message of the day. Another thing about Circle that I know some people use are to help them out, my Circle time rules. These are in my store, and they're basically just visual cues on what's expected of them at Circle. So they have to sit crisscross. They have to have, or I have sit with your hands to yourself. That way if a child isn't able to sit crisscross, they can just sit with them hands themselves. Maybe they're in a cube chair, maybe they're in you know, some kind of supported sitter, something like that. Maybe they have their legs out, different things. So I just have sit with your hands to yourself, so you can pair it with crisscross applesauce, or however you have your kiddo sit. Talk about that. And then quiet voice. And then we have look, because how many times are you doing Circle and they're looking over there, they're looking over here, like look at me, like here I am, like I'm the, you know, I'm like star of the show, like look at me, look at me. So look, and then I have raise your hand, which that's a hard one, right? With the world we live in and all the tech and everything is like automatic. We have, I mean, shout outs like bananas, right? So what I do to help that is maybe I'll point to this, or I'll point to a quiet voice, or maybe I'll do this while I'm reading, or I'll talk really, really quiet. And then they get quiet, hopefully. Sometimes the kiddos don't notice, and sometimes you have to do a Circle time on interrupting and talk about like when you interrupt, like what happens. Your friends can't hear the book. You know, you might miss out on something important. You might miss the directions. You might miss out on a funny part of the story. So if you have a lot of kiddos that interrupt a lot, have a Circle time about it and talk about, like, make a chart, like what happens when we interrupt? What happens when we talk over the teacher? We can't hear the book. We might miss our turn. And put it on, like, think about it in the sense of them, because they're so egocentric, right? Everything is all about them, because that's what they want to say, and they want to tell you right then and there. And it's really hard for them to wait. Like, it's a skill they have to learn. So make the reasons why they need to wait about them. Like, they're going to miss out on the story. They might miss their turn. So make it about them. Because if they really don't care if they miss the directions, let's be honest, they don't care. But if they might miss out on something funny, or they might, you know, something that's exciting, like they'll care about that. So they'll try harder to not interrupt if it's something that's important to them. So just word it a little bit different than you typically would. And then I have learn the bottom, because that's an important job for preschoolers to know, that their job is to learn at Circle and get excited about learning, and to figure out something new, or to learn something about a book or about a character or a letter or things like that. Like, that's their job at Circle. Their job is to learn and have fun. And these are in my store too. So another thing to help with behavior is I sometimes give these to a friend. So if I have a friend and I just have them on magnets, I'll give this to a friend, and I can just hand it to them, because we teach this at the beginning. I teach these skills at the beginning of the year, and I teach what these the visuals mean. So that way when I point to it, they know, oh, that means to be quiet. So maybe I'll give this to a friend, and I don't have to say anything. I can just give them this card, and they can hold it, and it'll be a tactile reminder as well as a visual reminder that they need to turn their voice off so I can get through the story, so other people can hear all the fun things that are happening in the book. And then another thing you can do is do pivot praise, which is when you praise someone that's next to them about what you want that child to do. So maybe they're interrupting to be like, I really like how Billy is listening to this story, and he has his voice off so he can hear everything and he doesn't miss anything. And then you'll see all the other kids go, and you know, because they want to, at this age, they want to make you happy, and they want to hear their voice, and they want to be praised too. So when Billy finally does stop talking and stop interrupting, you can be like, wow, Billy, I really like the way you're listening with your voice off, and are you excited about this? What do you think this page means? And get him engaged in that story. Give him an opportunity to talk, because he did turn his voice off, and you're praising him, and you're giving him a little bit of time to talk. And then read the page and be like, wow, aren't you so glad you got to hear all of those words on that page? That was such a silly page, or a funny page, or I like when the character did this, something like that. And I know I have a lot of twos teachers in here. What you can do for your circles to help with behavior is to make them even shorter. So right now, I have a 3, 4, and 5 mix. So my circles are about 10 to 15 minutes, depending on how it goes. If it's going good, I'll make it last a little bit longer. If it's going bad, we're done, and we're out of there, and we're moving on to the next activity. So if you're a twos class, start with, and for the twos class, I would sit on the floor with them. That way they can touch and they can feel the book and things like that. That way they're getting a little bit more interaction, because hopefully you have a smaller group than 18 kiddos. But just make it a little bit, make your circles a little bit shorter. So start maybe at like 5 minutes and slowly build up. And if you want to read books that are a little bit longer, just paraphrase. They can't read. They don't know that you're reading the words a little bit different. Unless they have the book memorized, of course, which a 2-year-old probably doesn't have a lot of books memorized yet, so you're good to go on that. So yeah, so start off, and I do the same thing. I start off around 10 minutes, and hopefully by the end of the school year I can get to around 15 to 20 minutes. That way when they go, my pre-Ks go to kindergarten, they can sit for a lot longer and listen for a lot longer, but you have to build up. Just slowly add those minutes and keep it engaging. So how can we make our circles engaging so that they will attend longer and they will sit longer? So make it fun. Like, don't sit up here and be boring, and don't make voices and be like, okay, today we're gonna read blah, blah, blah. Like, they're not gonna care. Like, you have to be like, put on a show for these kids. Like, you're competing with all kinds of tech, you're competing with TV, like, you have to be exciting and engaging. So be exciting and engaging. Like, be excited about the book. Be excited about the authors. Be excited about the illustrations. Be excited about whatever you're going to do at Circle. Be excited. And then they'll be excited. You want to pick a good book. I don't know about you, but I do not read Kissing Hand with my 3-year-olds on the first day of school. It is such a long book. It takes forever. And now I haven't met a 3-year-old who can sit and attend for that long at the beginning of school. I would be excited if they could sit and attend for that book by the end of the year. But at the beginning of the year, there's no way. So we read Pete the Cat rocking into school shoes, and I'm excited if I get to the end and I still have everybody engaged. So pick good books that are the appropriate length for your kiddos. Sorry. So I pick shorter books at the beginning of the year, and we don't do as many follow-up activities at the beginning of the year. So we don't do as much voting. We don't do as much making charts and interactive things at the beginning of the year, because they like, for them to get through a book, that's probably at their limit, and maybe they can do something really quick after. So pick a good book. Don't pick a book that they're going to get bored with. Pick a good book with beautiful illustrations. Don't pick a book that's made and has black and white photos. They're not going to be engaged with that. I wouldn't be engaged with that, not with all the tech they have now. So you got to think about all those things when you're picking books. Pick good books. There's so many amazing books out there, guys. Pick good ones. Another thing is read with voices and inflection. So don't just read monotone and boring. Like, get quiet on some of the pages, and be loud if the character's loud, and scream if the character screams. Make, if there's a bear talking, growl like a bear when it's appropriate. Be silly, like, have fun with these books. They're there for the kids to enjoy. So make them enjoy them. Don't be a bump on a log, basically. Ask good questions. I actually just got a book in the mail from Nacy, all about asking good questions. So ask questions that make them think, that are appropriate. So like, what do you think is going to happen next? Can you predict what's going to happen next? So have them make predictions. Have them talk. At the beginning of the year, when I say turn and talk to your friend, they're just really tall talking at the same time out loud, but that's fine. And we slowly learn how to turn and talk to a friend. because they're really all just shouting at me at the beginning, but that's okay. You got to learn some of those turn and talk skills, but that's, it comes with the territory of having 3, 4, and 5-year-olds, teaching all those skills. Ask them questions, but don't say, do you like the color of his shirt? That's not an engaging question. That's a yes or no question. It's not going to make them think. It's nothing exciting. So ask really, really good questions. Ask about predicting. What's going to come next? What happened on this page? How do you think the character feels? What do you all those really good questions. Add movement. So like if you're reading the Bear Hunt book, that's pretty easy, right? Like make your motions as you read the book. If you're reading a book, like right now we're doing space, and at the end of the book, we read on the launch pad where they make a rocket, and at the end it blasts off. So at the end of the book, we all squatted down and we did the countdown, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then everybody shot up like a rocket. Just to add some movement in at the end of the book, because after that, we had a little discussion about numbers, because it was a counting book too. So that way I added some movement, and then we could talk a little bit more about something that was in the book. So add movement when you can, or when you can squeeze it in. Have them patting, have them clapping, have them make faces. How do you think the character feels? Do they feel happy? Make a happy face. Show me your happy faces. How do you think the character would feel on their face? Get them engaged with the book and get them moving and interacting with the book. And because you don't want to just sit up here and talk to yourself, right? Hopefully not anyways. So another thing I do that I forgot to mention is before we do circle, usually we're cleaning up from something before circle time. Like we're either cleaning up from snack, or I have to check my schedule really quick. So before circle, we are cleaning up from snack. The next time we're coming in from outside, so it means everybody's taking turns washing their hands. And then we're cleaning up from centers for another one, or from table time. So what I do is for my cleanup song, I just play Kids Bop. And because it's upbeat and it's quick, so they clean up quicker, and then they can come dance when they're done. So they're moving and getting all of that energy out, and they're like, being silly and jumping and, dancing and having fun with their friends, and for a couple minutes, and then they sit down, and then it's circle time. So they're getting all of that movement out. They're, using all their muscles, hopefully wearing them out a little bit, and that way when it's time for circle, they've already gotten that movement out, they've gotten some energy out, so now they can sit down and focus. So however that works for your classroom, maybe you could do a go noodle before you do circle time. Maybe you could do some jumping jacks. Maybe you could do some yoga poses. Just something like real quick for, a minute, 30 seconds. If you do cleanup, just have them dance or turn on another song and they can dance it out. My kids love to dance just to Kids Bop. So that's what works for me, but do what works for you. But do something so where they can move and groove and get some of that energy out before they have to sit and attend to you. So hopefully all those tricks will help you have a better circle time. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comments, and I will go back and answer those. And don't forget to ask or submit. I think there's like a question that you have to answer, like what grade do you teach? But go ahead and ask to join our Facebook group for Pocket of Preschool Peeps, and we can keep talking over there all about circle. And then you guys have a great, thanks for tuning in, and I will talk to you soon.